Thank you all. Thank you, Joan, and thank you, Coventry RTC, for having me and my family here this evening. I'm going to give you a little flavor for what it's like to be a candidate running for the United States Congress in the 2nd District. I was out in Old Lyme the other night speaking to the Old Lyme RTC, and had a good time there, and got a phone call at 8:30 the next morning from an elderly lady. Said she was in her late 70s.
Spring chicken.
And bourbon. Here we go. And she, that's right. And she said, you know, Mr. Daly, I thought you sounded great, and I'm going to support you, and you have a lot of good ideas, but are you willing to take a little advice? I said, of course, ma'am. What do you have to say? And again, 8:30 in the morning on Thursday. And she said, you know, I looked at your palm card before you got to our meeting, and it makes you look like you're 50 pounds overweight and balding. And I said, well, we're gonna work on that. And so if anyone here has a referral for a photographer, you know, every night I go out. Most nights I go out. My son asked me, my son Jack, Dad, what do you do? Where are you going? And he's been asking me that for 9 months. And I said, you know what, son? At the end of the day, I do talk about you from time to time when I'm on the stump, and so I think you should come out one night and see what your father does substantially for most of the day. And so this campaign really is about Jack, who's 10 years old, and our future generations who really don't have a voice. They're not going to be able to vote on November 2nd. So my sweetheart Jen is here, and Jack is here. Please stand. You know, it's an honor to be here with all of you. It feels great to be a Republican. It feels great to be a Republican. It hasn't always been easy. It hasn't always been easy in the state of Connecticut to stand up for the time-honored virtues and values that have been the bedrock of our society for over 200 years. It hasn't always been easy in the state of Connecticut to stand up for the time-honored principles laid out in our United States Constitution, written by our founding fathers, constantly under attack by members of the federal judiciary and our opponents on the left. But we Republicans have been standing firm year after year after year in defense of these virtues, these values, and these principles. And the people have been watching. They were watching in Virginia when President Obama went down there to stump for that Democratic nominee. How'd that work out? Yeah, really. Then he went up to New Jersey, that conservative bastion, and stumped for old John Corzine. Now there's a grassroots candidate, right? And then yes, he even went up to stump for old Martha Coker. I didn't. Whatever her name was. And another conservative bastion just to our north, and we know how that worked out. But we Republicans have to understand that it's not enough just to ride this wave. It's not enough for us to just say that we're for free markets, we're for limited government and tax cuts, because the time for talk is over. And there are a lot of residents in the 2nd District who have heard enough talk. And so we Republicans have to say today, going forward in the next 8.5 months, what we plan to do in the 112th Congress. And here's what I think we should do. We should follow the Ronald Reagan playbook and say to the American people, we can only do 3 or 4 things in this Congress. We have an amateur as president. It's going to be hard to work with him. But we can do 3 or 4 things. And we're going to work our tails off to do it. And then go about doing it. The first thing we should do is to implement into our United States Constitution a balanced budget amendment. And vote it up or down in the Congress. Let the Democrats vote that down every time. If we have $12 to spend, that's all we spend. How about that concept? How about that concept? Right? Yeah. Let's talk about that for 8.5 months. Woo. Thanks, Jeff. How about putting the alternative minimum tax and the death tax on the floor of Congress to be voted up or down? Let's talk about the corporate tax. 40% here in America. Communist China, 25%. Can't we reduce that one? Capital gains tax raised by Joe Courtney and the Nancy Pelosi. No, I won't say it. Lackeys. Just raised to 20%. Can't we cut that? And then finally, the third thing I think we should resolve to do as Republicans and talk about day in and day out is to say to America, never again in this country will an enemy combatant fly over our shores, fly to this country, try to kill innocent children, men and women, and then be provided the same civil liberties our great veterans, who are our veterans here tonight, have fought so hard for. To me, we should make it very clear to the world. 2 things should happen to enemy combatants that come here to kill United States citizens. One of 2 things. They should become prisoners of war, or they should become casualties of war. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. That's it. Well, I'm too conservative, Ralph. I know. He's going to call me later. You're right wing, man.
I'm not a little old lady, but I'll give you a call.
All right. Well, my friends, the time for talk is over. I'm honored to be here with each and every one of you, and I'm sure I will see a lot of you in the next 8.5 months. And I'm privileged to fight this fight with each and every one of you. Thanks so much.